Excellent. So once again, I would like to welcome everyone to our Young and Brave Mentoring Program. Always a joy and a pleasant time we spend together learning life skills. Today, we are going to be talking about a very, very important topic that we all can relate to, we all use. I don't think there's anybody in this life that does not partake of this one topic, and that is relationship. So today we're going to be looking at relationship dynamics and networking skills. Okay, so as human beings, as women, the relationships we form with other people are vital to our mental and our emotional well-being, even to our life, our survival. The quality of the relationships that we have, it can affect our mental health, can affect our emotional health, and can also affect our physical health. See, relationships are very, very imperative for increasing our emotional well-being and also creating stability in our life. And oftentimes they are the glues that hold us together during times of crisis, during stressful situations, when we encounter adverse difficulties in our lives. Research has shown that good relationships help people live longer, and it's true. When you have a healthy relationship, you live longer. It helps us to be able to deal with our stress better when you have good relationships. And also there is a stronger resistance to violence. So the tendency for violence to take place is very, very minimal because we have good, healthy habits that we do in our relationships. And of course, it helps us have healthier habits as well. Having a good social support system is very, very important in life, very, very important. And when this social support or social relationships break down or are damaged, oftentimes it affects our mental health and it affects our well-being. And that's why you hear people going crazy. I would like to share a story of a man. This is a true life story that happened. He had a relationship with his wife, and when they started having relationship challenges, the wife left. And because that support system was no longer in his life, he went into drinking. And before you know, he started taking drugs, just trying to numb that pain, trying to fill that gap, that support system gap. And eventually, he ended up on the street. And of course, same thing with some of the females too. I've heard their story. People end up on the street because they lose that social support system because of maybe bad health, lack of healthy habits, or something just happened in their life and they couldn't handle it properly. The relationship was damaged and their mental health was affected, their health well-being was affected, and eventually they lost interest in life and they gave up on life and they found themselves on the street. And that's why sometimes when you see these people on the streets, a lot of them, I've met a lot of them on the street. We've dealt with a lot of them during our counseling experiences and our outreach work. And a lot of them are very smart people. This particular person I was talking about was a veteran of war, a veteran, very smart person. When we encountered this person, I was trying to help him. Eventually, that's how we got to know who he was. Very, very smart young man. I mean, he could do so many things, but then he ended up on the street because of relationship challenges. So having a good support system, very, very important in our life because we are biologically, cognitively, physically, and spiritually wired to love, to be loved, and to belong. So the problem is that men and women, they need relationship in different capacities and different reasons. And oftentimes we tend to gravitate to people who have either the same career interests, life interest, activities, hobbies. Oftentimes, if I ask you who are your friends now, you find out that they are your friends because there is a common interest. It is that common interest that brings the two of you together, whether at work, maybe you choose to always hang out with this person, or it could be at school, you choose to hang out with this person because there's a common interest. It's that common interest that brings the people together, that brings you together, and that makes that relationship flourish. Talking about relationship, creating and maintaining a good relationship, it's not as easy as we think. It requires skills, and we have to relate on purpose. It's for you to have a good, healthy relationship, either at work or at school, your family. It has to be intentional. In fact, you have to learn these skills. And that is why we are taking out the time to have a workshop on relationship dynamics. Okay. Oftentimes, what we realize is that some people start a loving, supportive relationship, but then due to not having the skills, there's inattention, there's neglect, or maybe life, stressful life events take over, and it takes a toll on that relationship. And before you know it, conflict starts happening, violence starts happening, the relationship breaks down. At that point in time, this relationship is far from being a source of well-being and happiness that we expected. It now becomes a source of stress and dissatisfaction. See, that's how important relationship dynamics can be in our lives. And if you take it seriously, it can help us become better in life, or it could actually affect our life. See, the problem is that we differ in how we formulate lasting bonds with others. And that's where relationship dynamics comes into play. We need to understand relationship dynamics and how to work it in our relationships to be able to make our relationship become productive for us. So what is relationship dynamics is the question. Relationship dynamics has been defined as the patterns of behavior. See, it's a pattern of behavior that happen between people in the ways they relate, in the ways they interact, and in the ways they communicate with each other. See, it's a pattern of behavior, and it happens between two people, no matter what kind of relationship that is. And having an awareness and understanding of the dynamics that play out in your relationship, no matter what kind of relationship that you are involved with, puts you in a position of empowerment. It helps us become clear on what is working for us. So is this dynamic working for us? Is the pattern of behavior working for us, so that we can address it? Or it might not be working for us. If it's not working for us, hey, why keep on going with something that it's not working for you? All right. So a range of different dynamics play out in all our relationships, whether it's a romantic partner relationship, whether it's a relationship between your parents, brothers and sisters, whether a relationship between your friends or your colleague at work. Some dynamics are healthy and feel good to us, while others are dysfunctional and painful. And the purpose of this workshop today is to help us prevent having dysfunctional and painful relationship. So here with us today, we have a great woman. I mean, I believe this is the first time that we're meeting her in this group, but she's been with us in the other groups as well. And she actually just finished teaching this topic with the other group, and it was amazing. That's why you see me, I'm so excited, because I know she's going to pour it out onto us today. You guys are going to be gleaning and learning lots of great stuff. So Dr. Mrs. Cordelia Aweze was born in Edo State, Nigeria. She studied and got her bachelor's degree in dental surgery from the University of Benin in 2000. She did her housemanship at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital in 2001, and her youth service corps, for those of you that are quite familiar with that, at the military-based hospital in 2002. She worked for 3 years and then moved into the Edo State Hospital Management Board as a dentist. After that, she started the evening dental clinic in Fate Mediplex to serve the population who could not keep their morning appointment due to their busy schedule. While pursuing her career in dentistry, she went back to the University of Benin to acquire a master's degree in health planning and management. And after completing that master's degree, she started her residency program alongside a second master's degree in public health before relocating to Canada. Man, this one loves to read. She rose to the position of a senior resident doctor before she was offered a political appointment as the Commissioner for Commerce and Industry for 1 year. Following her hard work, she was moved from the Ministry of Commerce and Industry to the Ministry of Health as the first female health commissioner and first dentist to be made a health commissioner in that state. Since moving to Canada, she took the dental assistant program at Douglas College, where she had an excellence award. She completed a certificate program in orthodontic dental assistant, as well as certificate in sedation. In 2017, she changed her career course following the challenges encountered with supporting her special needs son. Presently, she's almost completing her bachelor's degree in psychiatric nursing. Despite all the career and academic achievements, the most important part of her life is her love for God. She gave her life to Christ when she was 11, so she's known the Lord since then, and she's worked in different capacities in her church. She's married for 23 years to her husband, and they are blessed with amazing children. So let's welcome Dr. Aweze as she helps us with our relationship dynamics and networking skills.
Thank you so much, Dr. Blessing. That was a mouthful.
I see I needed some water.
That's so much. I want to welcome every one of you to this platform. I'm sorry I haven't been joining you, but ahead of some of the topics. They are really amazing. So, first and foremost, I'm going to share my screen for what we are going to be learning today. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. One moment, almost there. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about relationship dynamics and network skills. I may read out some of my slides sometimes, but we'll just talk about it. So today's learning objective, we're going to look at what is the topic all about. We'll be looking at relationship dynamics, and we'll look at the definition of networking. We'll explore relationship and relationship dynamic more in detail, and then we'll look at understanding and controlling relationship dynamics. Then I'd like us to have like kind of discussion, because I prefer interactive section than just giving lecture, because sometimes when we interact through our personal experiences, we are better able to motivate others. And sometimes we also learn from others' experience that help us to know that we are not suffering in whatever challenges we are having. We may not be the only ones. But however, because this program is being recorded, we may take that towards the end when we turn off the recording, so that people can feel free to share and interact better. And then following that, we're going to be looking at networking more in details and the different types of network and stages of networking, then conclusions through questions. So humans are relational beings. Every one of us, there's that hunger to relate with others. There's that hunger to connect with someone or something. And because of this hunger, people have different things that they use to fulfill that gap. Like when I spoke with the youths earlier on today, I said prior to coming to Canada, I didn't really know that pets play a role in that connection or relationship. But coming here, I find that some people who don't have someone in their life also relate to other stuff like their cats, their animal, and all those kind of stuff. But however, every human being has somewhere in their life that yearns and wants someone to connect with or something to connect with. That's how we are wired as human beings. So because of that, people build links with social group or create one-to-one encounter with others through mutual knowledge, attraction, communication, discussion, and the prospect of collaboration or cooperation, which is the bedrock of networking. So this relationship is the bedrock of our networking. Who are you relating with? Who are you connecting with? Among some of your friends, or let me paraphrase or rephrase what I'm about to say, the people you are relating with or connecting with, they have different areas that they are involved with. They are multifaceted. So sometimes because you are connecting with someone in an informal way doesn't mean that they cannot help you professionally. So for example, we know that Dr. Mrs. Blessing is a counselor. Someone might be going through rough time, or you might find someone who is in your own path, probably as a teacher, who is struggling, and it's because you know that Dr. Mrs. Blessing Ude is a counselor, that she's in your network. You'll be able to send someone to her. So, networking in its simplest form begins with casual conversation, popularly known as small talks. For example, you are meeting someone for the first day, you don't know this person, and you want to strike a conversation, or you feel like, oh, I want to have a relationship with this person I'm meeting for the first time. So, you can start with something that is common, like, oh, it's a beautiful day today. Or if it's probably you were watching movie, you went to the theater, you could say, oh, how do you see this movie? or say something related to what both of you are thinking about. However, there are some topics that you should avoid in casual talk. Politics, because that can, people have their different political belief, their divides and everything. So when you want to network or strike a positive relationship, you don't start with controversial topics. So building relationship and networking are not so easy to achieve by some individuals. And it takes a different dimension in our today's world where mutually beneficial relationship and networking activities can occur with or without physical contact. Back in the days when we are talking about networking, we are talking about who do you know, like face to face, physical connection. But in our days, a lot of stuff are going online. Especially, we remember like few years ago, there was the total lockdown, but life went on. Most things that used to be face to face moved online. So if we are not able to connect online, there are some services we may not get, and there are some connections we may lose. So that's why, though it's tough and difficult, at least we should find a way to have some basic computer skills or computer knowledge so that we can do some minimal networking online. So each relationship presents its own unique dynamics based on the people involved and the type of setting. So if you are relating with someone as a colleague, as a friend, as an acquaintance, as a business partner, professional relationship, political or whatever, each of these relationships has its own dynamics and is unique in its own way. And the best way to be able to deal with those unique dynamics related to the different type of relationship is to understand it and deliberately approach the relationships. So before we continue, we're going to be looking at the definition of relationship dynamics. It is defined as the attitude and behavior that occurs between individuals in the way we associate, engage, and communicate with one another. Mrs. Day defined, Dr. Mrs. Day had already defined it, so we have the same definition. And networking is defined as the intentional exchange of information, resources, support, and access in order to develop mutually advantageous partnership for personal and professional success. Networking is simple term. Oops. One moment, please. So in a simple term, is speaking with people or connecting with people. That's just the simple term of networking. So relationship, humans engage with different relationships like we mentioned earlier on: family, friends, colleague, business associate, professional associate, religious family, pets, or whatever they want to relate with. And it is crucial for us to understand that the foundation of any relationship starts with thoughtful communication. You recall I said even when you want to have casual or small talk, you need to think through what to say. For example, where I am right now is raining. If I'm meeting someone for the first time and I think I want to communicate using weather, and I say, oh, it's a sunny day today, of course, the person is going to be looking at me awkwardly that what's going on? Is this person oriented to what's going on around her? Why is she saying it's a sunny day today when I can see it's raining? So that means when you want to communicate, even if it's the most casual, whatever, it should be relevant and you should think through what you want to say and to whom you are saying it and the audience. But to be safe is to choose a neutral topic. So within seconds of meeting, people assess and make snap judgment about who you are. If we engage poorly with people, the experience may not be as positive as a planned interaction. Personally, I have made some of this error of engaging poorly, like without even thinking through. Probably I may not be the only one. Maybe after the conversation and everything, in your own quiet place, when you reflect on whatever transpired, you will realize that, oh, probably I should have rewarded some sentences. I should have engaged with this person in a different manner. So relationship challenges are frequently develop on the very first meeting between two people. So what does that mean? It means that depending on how you connect with whoever you are connecting with, you might connect poorly or more positively. So whatever challenges that eventually ensues as the relationship continues could be determined or predetermined by your first meeting. So how we view, respond, and relate to someone we've just met is usually based on our personal experiences before that initial encounter. For example, if something has happened between you and someone previously, or if you have ever felt betrayed or whatever, or if there's a certain race that you have a pre what should I say? Maybe you have had some kind of bad experiences with them. When you meet with such race, sometimes you may want to deal with the person based on previous experiences. And this is an innocent person coming to you, or you are an innocent person connecting with this person for the first time. They are already judging you based on other experiences. Consciously or unconsciously, we all do this based on our experiences, based on our family, how we were raised, or whatever. We have some kind of judgments that we make, which directly or indirectly affects the dynamics of our relationship. This is because how we experience life is how we engage, communicate, and cooperate with people, which determines our dynamics. When you view a person as a friend, you communicate in that manner. However, if you view someone as a spy, you will continue to interact with caution, even if the person comes in with a saintly robe. So relationship dynamics, it results from various interconnected behavior at several levels, including social, political, economic, corporate development, family, and romantic coupling. As a result, it is critical to pay attention to our words, our facial expression, our posture, overall demeanor, because conscious and unconsciously interpretations of however you are presenting yourself could trigger positive or negative, or could lead to positive or negative dynamics. Sometimes even the way we appear or the way we are talking, someone can just say, oh, this is a street girl, street boy. Or someone could even accord you more than you actually are, based on your composure, the way your charisma, or the way you decide to present yourself. So relationship dynamic also describes the ways of doing things and customs developed within a relationship. Like we're talking about, if it's like a romantic relationship, we are all raised, two people coming together to build a family. You are raised in different families, you have different norms, but when you come together, you create your own norm. Even in business, that's why when partners come in together in business, we have documents. We write down what are the goals of this business. What do we plan to achieve? What are you supposed to be handling? What am I supposed to be handling? So by doing those kind of stuff, you are creating a new norm for that relationship. Even professionally, when you even go for your interviews, sometimes they ask you some of your beliefs. Do you believe in this? Do you believe in maid? Do you believe in they try to find out your belief, because if you do not fit into that particular group, then the dynamic, you will not be able to flow. You're not going to be able to benefit from the network or benefit from the relationship. Neither will you be able to give maximally into that relationship. So that's why at the beginning of some of this, depending if it is business, profession, or whatever, the objectives and goal of that relationship are set, are written down, and they are understood by everybody. But however, there are some relationships that things are not spoken, but you just see it unwinding itself. Like in families, you just see whatever you find a way to work around it, because you don't choose who becomes your parent or who becomes your sibling. But then, depending on how you view things and able to handle the dynamics between those family members, you're able to have a positive relationship or a negative relationship, which may impact you in different ways. So, for example, I may have said this example before, but I can just repeat it. So, for example, someone who has been betrayed by a close friend previously will find it harder to trust anyone fully. Is someone so close to you, because someone who is just an acquaintance betray you means nothing. But if you have had a relationship, a trusting relationship where you have given it all and you thought you were having a very good dynamics, everybody understood what it meant to be mutually supportive, mutually watching out for each other or one another, and then suddenly you felt betrayed. When you get into another relationship, whatever relationship that you now eventually engage in, it is not going to be the same dynamics, because there's going to be that trust issue. There's going to be, even when you want to let go, somewhere in your subconscious, because of your past experience, because of whatever it is, you will find yourself not 100% trusting. You'll find yourself taking measures that could affect the dynamics of the present relationship. Having looked at all the things, the ways that, or having talked about relationship and its dynamics, how can we ensure that we have a positive relationship or a positive dynamics within our relationship? So understanding and controlling relationship dynamic in all aspects of life may significantly impact each of your relationship or each of your encounter, no matter where you are on the scale. What do I mean by that? Whether you trust, you don't trust, whether you feel like, oh, I need to work on this relationship or walk away from this relationship, or you're ambivalent about what you should do regarding that relationship. No matter where you are, if you do understand that relationship, you'll be able to modify it. If you do understand where you are at that relationship, if you do understand what the relationship means to you, the importance of that relationship, is it worth remaining there? Is it worth fighting for? Is it worth changing stuff to make it work? Or is it better to step out? So when you understand how important that relationship is to you and attach the right importance, sorry, I'm using the same word, to it, then you will now know what to do to be able to make the relationship dynamics better. So you'll be better prepared to painstakingly putting in efforts to adjust stuff. So we have the most chances to reform, heal, and alter our relationship dynamics when we look at how current reactions are tied to the events of our previous experiences. So if you're looking at what is happening now and you compare it to previous things that have happened, is there any link? Are you transferring what happened to you previously into this present relationship? Is that what is affecting the relationship negatively? What is it that's causing the problem? And also, we can also look inward. Sometimes it might not even be the person you are relating with. It might not even be some other things that we are looking at. It might just be only a little bit of adjustment from within can change stuff. Well, I'm going to cite an example with myself. There was some time in my life that every single thing my husband did, I was not happy about it. So it was affecting our dynamics. But the only thing I changed was to look at myself and not micromanage. Because sometimes as women, we want things, especially if you're someone that you're almost like a perfectionist. You want things in certain ways. You want things done in certain form and manner. Sometimes you need to step back. Because when you keep micromanaging and putting a lot of pressure on other people who you are relating with, then they, as they say, for every action, there's a reaction. So with that kind of continuous negative micromanaging and reaction or actions, is going to shift the dynamics of your relationship, probably to a direction that you do not desire or want. And at the end of the day, it may not be mutually beneficial. It might eventually just trip over to a toxic relationship. But just a little tweaking of stepping back sometimes, or holding back, and allowing others to be themselves, because people enjoy being with you when they feel that you are going to be non-judgmental, respectful, and they feel safe to be around you. But when you micromanage so much, it gets so much that people are anxious when they are coming to you. Sometimes they'll just want to avoid you. And these are people that you can't do without. You are with them every day. It could be your colleagues in the office. It could be your children. It could be even your business partner. Some people so micromanage that they extend this whole stuff into their business, or even their profession, that people start avoiding them. So if we're able to step back and reflect to find out, why am I doing this? Sometimes you're not doing it because you're just a perfectionist. It may be that you're doing this because of previous experience, because you have delegated an assignment to someone and you were supposed to present it. You were embarrassed when the stuff was not properly done. So some of this stuff that happened that now affect current relationship could be from past experience. So sometimes we need to give other people credit until proven otherwise. But then in giving credit, you might also have your backup, because everyone can be at the same level. So for us to now be able to make those changes, we need to ask a few questions like, what type of relationship is this? Is it friendship? Is it an acquaintance? Is it family? Is it business? Is it church? Is it politics? Is it romantic? Because depending on the type of relationship, that will determine what effort you will put in. That will determine how you will, whatever thing you want to say, or how you will behave. Because the way you behave when you are with your family is not the way you behave when you're at work. Whatever you say, how you can just allow yourself to freely express yourself may not be the same way you express yourself. For example, when you're at home, you know how you can dress casually, but when you're in your office, you cannot wear your pajamas or casually dress to the office. No, that's a different setting. So that's the same way. Before we can be able to understand that relationship, we need to understand first and foremost, what kind of relationship is this? What is expected in this setting? How am I supposed to comport myself? Sometimes when you're home and anybody in your house, your kids, your husband or whatever, offend you, you find yourself expressing yourself the way you ask, the way you feel. And sometimes we do it wrongly, probably explosively. However, if it is a work environment, if it is a business environment, and you express yourself the same way you did at home, of course, it's going to negatively impact both ways. It's going to negatively impact the dynamics or the relationship. And some of this relationship you may not be able to mend it. If it's your kids, you can call them later and say, I'm sorry. But if it's your boss, it might end the person that they might just fire you. And if it's a business, you might lose that opportunity. And probably that could have been the one-time opportunity that would have changed your life. So understanding what that relationship is all about, what it entails, and what you should be bringing to that relationship and comporting yourself is very important for you to be able to control the dynamics. We are not perfect human beings. We may make a mistake. But then when we make a mistake, we should be accountable. We should go back to the person and apologize. So the next question you'll be asking yourself is that this relationship, is it mutually beneficial, or I feel used? Why do I say that? There are some job that you are doing. You may not be satisfied with the job. You may not be benefiting from that job, but you are giving it all your best. And there may be another network, another organization, another establishment that will value you respect you, accord you what you need. That will be mutually beneficial. You will benefit and the job will benefit. It will be better to move over rather than keep adjusting and hoping that you will be accepted. So that's why we need to ask, is am I benefiting? Because when you now see that this is mutually beneficial, then you might not think of what should I do to change things, to tweak these little challenges that I'm encountering to make it a better place for me. So are the goals of the relationship clear? Or are they clearly stated? Do I understand them? So for example, like I talked about business, do you understand what this relationship is all about? If you are doing business, let's say for example, especially in our community, sometimes you have a business that you are doing, someone will say, oh, I'm so sorry, please can you, I'm just going to buy this from you, I will pay you. Most times the first people who patronize you are your friends, but your friends should know that this is business. For example, in my family, my sister and I, we always say this: when we are borrowing from each other, this is borrow. But when we are supporting each other, this is support. It doesn't mean whether because we are family or we are not family. So long as you've used the word, please lend me, you should do well to return back what you've asked to be lended. It's left for your family to say, oh, I'm glad you brought it back. You can leave it. Similarly, if it's business, it is business. Even if you are friends with this person, what are the goals? What is it? When it's business, it's expected that they should act in that manner and act appropriately. And if it's like on a friendly level, it is on a friendly level. So that's why we need to understand what are the goals of that relationship. Is there transference or counter transference? What do I mean by that? Sometimes, because of our previous experiences, when we see certain people, we just transfer what somebody else has done to them and we don't give them chance to express themselves. We may be losing someone that could help us maximally, someone that we have been looking for. Probably you're an employer. This person is someone that could have changed that could have been more productive, and probably there's an area you've been looking for someone to step into that might be the best candidate. But because of your previous experience, let's say for example racial experience, and this person walks into your door, you say, oh no, I don't hire. And I'm not being racist, I'm culturally sensitive, so please just pardon whatever word I want to use. You might just say, no, I don't like black people, I don't hire black people, I don't like to deal with them. And somebody who is well knowledgeable, even much more than what you expect, will walk into your door just being that color. Because of previous experience, you will say no. You've made up your mind even before the person starts the journey. So you have to ask yourself, am I transferring what others have done? And similarly, some people also transfer good stuff. Maybe they are seeing someone, they say, oh, she speaks just like my mom. She looks just like my mom. Her values are just like my mom. So if you are transferring those qualities, that this person is just like your mom, they are much more than that, what you are saying. Their expectation is like, this person is just like my mom. And then you don't give that person room to express themselves. You don't give that person room to be himself or herself, so that when they make mistake, it may not also be a mistake, might be this is them, that you never gave them room to express. When you see that, it's kind of puts you off balance and affects the dynamics of that relationship. That's why we must be cautious. We must not transfer whatever we have for others to anyone. Be open and allow them to be whom they are, and then find out if that is what you want, so you have a good dynamics. Same way some people see you and they also transfer. That's the counter transference. So once you are able to understand the dynamics, you are better able to make a concrete decision on what needs to be modified to improve the relationship dynamics. So here I said time for discussion, but because I would like us to discuss later on, we may skip here, but if you want us to discuss, because I prefer interactive section. Sometimes, like if I'm in a class or whatever for too long, I get internally distracted. So please, does anyone have any contribution? It may not be so personal, so we can hear from you too before we move on to networking. Because we are all bosses in our own ways, we have experiences. Anyone want to share? Okay. Susie, sorry, I'm not putting you on the spot. Do you have anything to share?
I just want to know, what is your advice, like, to keep relationship like with family to be better, or
Okay.
do you
So,
understand?
yeah, I do. So we will take that towards the end because you're talking about family and this is being recorded. So we don't want, like, in case anybody stumbles over the recording, to take it personal or misjudge whatever thing we're saying. Is that okay by you? So we'll take this question towards the end. We'll stop the recording. Are you okay?
Okay.
Okay. So any other contribution? Should we continue? Ibedero, do you have anything to say? Okay. Okay. So next slide. Networking skills. So the people we want to network with are likely to have track record of business and personal successes. Most times when we are targeting people to have relationship with them, there's some area of their life that we are admiring. There's something in them that we feel like, oh, they know, or they are good at it, or we feel like we can benefit from it, or we feel like we have a way of, there's something in common that we have that we can mutually, when it's mutual benefit, it means you are bringing what you have, and we are both having something positive from it. So these people you are looking at that you want to connect with, they have track record of success. And leaders who can best help us, we tell when someone is only interested in the monetary benefits. So if it's all about money, they know. But however, when you engage with genuine enthusiasm, they will sense your genuineness. So once they feel like, oh, you're just coming with, it's just because you want to get money from me, or you want to get something from me, you just want to get, that shuts that relationship. Or if for people who are even polite and they don't want to let you know that I don't want the relationship, they might relate with you, but the dynamics is not going to be one that you desired or you really wanted. But if you are just genuinely enthusiastic with whatever they are saying or whatever thing you like about them, they may take you even closer and they may show you stuff that you never expected. Some people have been empowered just because of that. For example, I heard of a story of someone, this is back in Africa. This guy was in school studying engineering, but he was from a very poor family. One day he had no food. And there was someone, like back in Africa is a little bit different from here in Canada. People sell food on the street. And that particular day, he desired to have what the lady was selling, and he had no money. This lady saw him and saw how long he was standing there and beckoned on him and gave him something to eat. But this young man, after that day, the woman said to him, any day you don't have money to buy this food and you want it, come, I'll give it to you. When you have money, give back to me. That's networking. This is what she had. She's uneducated. This is what she had. She saw an opportunity and sold into the life of someone. Luckily for this guy, he finished his education and had scholarship to study abroad. When he came back, all he was doing was to look for that lady to empower her and help her. So what am I saying? Sometimes it's not where you're expecting help from, you get it. Sometimes some relationship that you are striking, when that woman was striking that relationship, she never knew that there's something that is this young man was going to amount to someone, or that is going to be successful, or whatever it's going to be, or if he will come back to look for her. However, when the young man came back, he came back and established a company in Nigeria, Africa. But unfortunately, the lady had died. And he looked for her and never found her. But one day, a young man walked into his office and looked so much like the lady. And this was how he was just looking for a menial job. This boy turned out to be the late woman's son. And what happened? The man empowered him, gave him a job, gave him everything needed, connected with his sister who did not go to school but supported this boy after their mother died, and also empowered them. This is the power of networking. Sometimes it's better to just engage enthusiastically without thinking of any benefit. You never know where it's going to be. It's just like throwing your seeds on the field. You don't know which is going to yield the highest amount of profit. So we must not always think about, oh, what am I going to get? Or is it the immediate monetary stuff that I'm going to get when you are networking? Sometimes just network for just doing that. Something more than what you expect might be there. Some people have mastered the art of networking so well that when they start a new discussion, it appears natural and simple. However, some others need to learn the skill deliberately. Networking is a process. So just meeting someone for the first time, connecting with someone on a business or professional level or an individual level does not mean that that is it. It is a process. It needs time and effort and careful selection and nurturing of the relationship for it to bear fruit. So you don't just network with anybody. You must carefully select who you want to network with. You must carefully decide on, why do I need this relationship? What kind of network is this? Am I business minded? Do I want to learn business from this person? If yes, what do I have to bring to the table that will keep that relationship going? You need to oil the relationship. It's just like when you have your car. From time to time, you go to grease it, you change your oil, you do whatever. The car is servicing you and you are servicing the car. That's how networking and relationship works. So key tips before we network. One, we must prepare an introduction of ourselves that will make us stand out. So when you are meeting someone for the first time and you are going to be introducing yourself, what is that special thing that will make the person want to engage with you? What is that thing that will make the person want to have that relationship or trust you or network with you or even converse with you? Because there are some people, especially successful people, they don't want people that they will associate with, that by associating with those people, the press or whatever will tempt them negatively or tag them negative name. So the people are careful who they connect with or network with. So what is that introduction of yourself that you will give that can make you unique or stand out? That should be your first shot, especially with the first meeting. Then secondly, prepare to communicate relevant message. How do you communicate relevant message? You need to research your audience. So knowing who you are networking with and then what to say. So for example, I gave an example of few weeks ago, one of the doctors mentioned how she went for Canon Games and she met Benny Henry. That's the Minister for Health. On that day, she never believed that she would meet Benny Henry. Maybe in her lifetime, she never even thought in her life that she would find herself meeting with the Minister for Health. But however, they met in that game. So it is very good for us to research our audience, but sometimes we not even have the time to research our audience before going. But right in the moment, you need to ask yourself, what is the setting? Where are we? What will be relevant? So for example, if I was the one who met Benny Henry, I could start by saying it was a good game. Because she came in for that game, that means she may really love games. She may really love that type of game. We could start from that common ground. And then from there, After saying that, if she says yes, then that means she's responding and willing to connect. Then I can now use open-ended question to keep the conversation going. So the next thing is that you must be present. Like what I said to the youths, especially the younger generation, when you are talking to them, they're on their phone. That's very disrespectful. If you want to have a good relationship, you must pay attention. Sometimes it may be something you are not interested in. You may be lost. That's why effective communication is very important. You can ask questions. You can tell them, oh, I don't understand. I have conversed with some people that they are using like terms that I don't know. I just tell them, please, what do you mean by this? And they explain. Because sometimes why people disengage during conversation or communication is that they don't understand what the other person is saying. And sometimes they feel embarrassed asking questions. There's no embarrassment, because if you don't understand, you don't understand. So be active in your listening, show respect and genuine interest in what the person is saying. Active listening builds a strong relationship as you learn from the person. When you listen actively, you may not know all the person is saying, so you are learning and the person is also learning from you. So for your conversation to continue going, use open-ended questions. It prevents those awkward silence. When you use like close-ended questions, you get one word answer. Oh, yes, no, okay, fine. So the conversation is short. There's no engagement. But like alternatively, instead of saying, oh, what a nice game, I could say, oh, what do you think about today's game? When I say, what a nice game, yeah, what do you think about the game? The person gets to tell you what she thinks about the game, and that helps you to even understand her own perspective. And while you are there, you may not know what the next question is going to be. While the person is expressing their enthusiasm or disappointment or whatever regarding the game that you just watched, you could then get something out of their conversation as the next question or whatever following response that will keep the conversation going. Then another thing we must keep in mind while networking is that we must know that quality is better than quantity. Sometimes people go to conferences, they want to talk to so many people, they want to connect with so many people, they just like briefly discuss with people. It's not how many people you are connecting with, it's not how many people you are talking with, it's the quality of time, the quality of people. You might just sit down there after the introduction, you can target one or two persons because there's something you want to benefit from them, and you have something to discuss, there's something in common. For example, if you went for a conference, an international conference, say as a doctor, and there's a doctor coming from Africa, and you have passion for outreaches, passion for helping the needy people and all that. Instead of trying to connect with everyone there, you could just connect with the African doctor and say, oh, tell me how medical practice in Africa is. They tell you a lot of what, then you let them know, oh, this is my passion, I do this. Spending time and sharing, you will get to know the doctor better. The doctor will get to know you better. Probably when you have a project in Africa, that will be your first contact if you've never been there. Like, hey, I have a project. I don't know where I'm taking it to. The person can say, come over. But if you went around and you didn't have a quality conversation, you didn't have a quality networking, whatever, and at the end of the day, you have something, you met someone from Africa, you didn't follow up, you know nothing, you wouldn't even know where to start from. You might be a little bit stuck. Or even if you eventually chose any place, you may not get that much help as you would have gotten through your network. So every opportunity when you meet people is an important opportunity, and we must take it seriously. So we need to also follow up. Following up is like watering your plants, watering the relationship, keeping it going. So types of network. we have a different type of network. Remember, we've talked about the kind of people the types of relationship. So network itself is relationship, but just like we're looking at it at different levels. So personal networks like your immediate relatives, your friends, your acquaintances, people that you have mutual interest and like, and long-term relationship that are most times long-term relationship that are created. I'm so sorry, I'm just reading my slide. So the main thing about personal network is that they are your friends, they are your relatives, they are your acquaintances. They are personal network that are more social than other type of network since they are built on the sharing of assistance and support. Like people who have younger children, like for example, I can take myself as an example. I go to Abersford to work some of the days. And when I'm in Abersford, I have a 10-year-old who needs to be picked from school. Because of my network, because of a friend that I know that lives close to my daughter's school, she walks to that lady's home. If I don't have a good relationship with that family, I won't have someone who will help me with my daughter until I come back from Abbotsford. So every network, every relationship, in fact, let me speak in detail about that relationship. When I moved from Port Moody to Port Coquitlam, a new city, I met this African person in dollar store. It was Dollarama. So we met, we struck conversation. He told me he was from Jamaica. And I said, no, you sounded Nigerian. And we spent a few minutes discussing and everything, and we exchanged numbers. After that, because they are elderly people. The family, their last born is 35-year-old. They have 4 kids. So I call them, in Africa, when you want to respect an elderly person, you can say mom or dad. That's how I call them. And the children call them grandparents. How did I strike that relationship? Where did I meet them? Just in dollar store. And today, they say, oh, we are going to grandma's house. When I had surgery, they were here for me. So you never know where you will meet someone. Following up, you never know. These people, every network is important, especially in this society where we can't do it alone. We need people. It might just be even someone to listen to you. That's all you need. So another type of relationship is strategic. Another type of network, is strategic network. So external links and contacts look to develop or join alliance with individuals from a variety of organizations such as community institutions, local regulatory agencies, adjacent hospital or clinic, as complexity and whatever. So what does that mean? That's a mouthful. For example, I'm just going to use an example. We know that Dr. Mrs. Uday has the CAT Foundation, and they have a food bank. So their strategy in networking is that they network with other people who supplies them this free food. She could be all over without strategizing. When I mean all over, she can say, okay, I'm dealing on clothing, I'm dealing on furniture, I'm dealing on whatever comes my way. That's not strategic networking. Her strategy is all about feeding the people and it's food. And so she networks with people who will support the food bank so that when people come in there, they have food to eat. So such network is strategic networking. So how does that come home to us? What are your dreams? What do you want to focus on? What do you have? What do you think that when you venture into it will be successful? What are available resources that are around you? Who is that person that you think can show you the path to achieving success in that area? So that's the strategy. That's what you have identified what you want and you're strategically working on it and networking in that particular area rather than just being everywhere, whatever comes my way. So then another type of networking is professional network. This has to do with where you work. In profession, you have common interest. For example, if you connect with someone, I have also given that example, like a doctor connecting with another doctor in Africa. There are some, if you are a teacher, probably in a college, if you have someone who knows you, because you are their network, if their child needs, let's say, for example, you work in UBC, and somebody who has you as their own network, the child wants an admission in UBC, you'll be able to guide that child. You'll be able to be a role model to that child. Probably this other teacher is working in SFU. You are both teachers, so you have this common interest, same profession, but you're in different places, but you can network and help other people around you who are in your own network, who are benefiting from you, and you are benefiting from them in other ways. So organizational network has to do with groups, project groups, committees, councils. These are some of the structures, and networking in those environments is organizational network. This network are centered on people you need to know at your institution in order to reach goals in a certain amount of time. These networks are built on the foundation of power, knowledge, and influence. When entering a new department, facility, or provider, one method is to discover the organizational network as fast as possible, particularly those with power and influence. Some things don't just follow the normal path. We are all humans. When your boss loves you, there are some things you get extra. Let's take the nursing profession, for example. If you know the organizational network and you are connected to your boss, probably they may say, okay, on Christmas Day is the day they are going to pay double. They give it to a select few. You'll be too sure that you might be the one getting it most of the time. It's not because if peradventure so many people are qualified and you are one of the qualified one, so there's no reason why you cannot earn it. And it's in her hand to give it to people. You might be the one getting it. That's how network works. You benefit from it. And for her to be doing that, probably you are one of her best workers. You are doing something that makes her to continue to respect you and trust that when she gives you this extra job, she's not going to be disappointed. So at every level, we need to network. We need to select what kind of network are we aspiring for? What do we desire? And how do we get and maintaining it? Getting into those relationships is one thing. Maintaining it is another thing. So we need to understand all those parts. So stages of networking. The first stage is getting. Although it is true that novice networkers are people who have never who don't know how to network. So they focus on what is in it for me. Before they get into any relationship, what is in it for me? Networking involves more than simple taking. Most people who start networking do so with the intention of getting something for themselves, at least at first. There's nothing wrong with hoping that your effort will be rewarded. However, it is only half of the tale. The most successful networkers approach the process with the mindset that they want something, and in turn, they want to be valued contact. You want something and you have something to give. You want something and you want the person to desire you. Consider your personal interaction with others. Don't you want to give much more than you receive when someone helps you? It's a question. Think about it. When people help us, like me, I know when someone helps me, I want to give them much more than they have given to me because I'm really very grateful. That's the same way network is, and because people are people. So the next stage of networking is exchanging. Networking is all about exchanging something of worth. What is of worth to you may not be of worth to another person. So that's why you need to discover what is it that this person desires from me. Like in my culture, I've heard one story I heard of, where somebody said, oh, I told my wife not to work, she's home, I give her everything she needs, I've bought her a car, I've bought her this, I've bought her that. Is that what she needs? That may mean nothing to her. All she needs is your presence. All she needs that I want someone to talk to. I don't want to hear that you're here today, you're there tomorrow, or you're all over the place. I just want you. So in networking is similar. Exchanging what means something to each other or to the person you're networking with. And the best way to find out is by asking or observing closely. So this is something that trades help with. Typically, the taking and dealing stage results in one-time networking outcome. So if you are the type that, oh, it's just all about what I want to get, it might just be one time. The person sees you the first time and say, oh, this is how this person is, and that ends the relationship. So, but if you're able to provide something, they will need you, they will call you. If there's something you have that this other person who is networking with you finds that you have, you might just be a good marketer. Let's say, for example, I have a product and you like my product. I don't know how to market it, but you're very good. You know how to talk. You know how to convince somebody. I will want to connect with you because you can compliment me adequately. So at the end of the day, when you are marketing this stuff, I'm getting my money and you are getting something out of it. So for instance, you could have developed a streamlined checklist for your institution that would be as beneficial at a state organization. But the attitude networker doesn't stop there, just on that one-time stuff. They attempt to build a long-term relationship out of one-time transaction. And that's the best way to network. So another stage of networking is understanding. This phase strengthens the bond between you and others by teaching them what you need and learning what they require. Take the time to pay attention on your partner and his or her problem. Some people come to you only when they have problem, and after that you don't see them. I recall one time my sister and I were having a conversation and she was complaining about someone that she finds that person coming to her only when they need something. And she's telling the person, this is my own problem at this point, but the person is not listening. The person is just only focused on why they are there. A good networker, even if you cannot meet that person's need, you can listen, validate, and acknowledge. And say, oh, I wish I can help. But when it is that they are telling you something and you're sidetracking, changing the topic, or focus on just yourself, of course, it's going to affect the dynamics. It's going to shut off that relationship. If they can get rid of you that moment, next time you are calling, they are telling you how busy they are because they don't have that time to waste with someone who will not listen. Sometimes it's not all about your money. Everyone has something to give. There is no person that does not have something to give. It might just be a smile. I recall someone said to me in the midst of the pandemic, you know, the bosses, especially in healthcare, they were so busy trying to ensure that everything worked smoothly. All the staff had everything. But one nurse walked to the boss office and knocked. After knocking, the boss felt like, okay, what is it that your department is lacking? She said, no, it's not all about my department. I just came to find out how you are faring. She just told her boss, I came to find out how you are faring. You are human like us. You have family like us. We see how tough it is with us. And then you have to manage us, manage your family, manage the situation. How are you dealing with all this? This person told me that just that singular act, the boss was so impressed. The boss felt that someone valued her. It changed the dynamics. It changed the way the boss started relating with her. So let us never think that we have nothing to offer. Sometimes people don't need your money. All they just need is a smile because they might be passing through tough stuff or whatever. Sometimes it might just be that your humor. Somebody that is depressed and is finding it hard to laugh can just laugh, and all the pain will just ease out. So we all have something to bring to the table. Never look at yourself to say, oh, this guy has it or he's so rich. What do I have to offer him? You have something. Look deeper, you'll find what they are lacking, and you'll be able to bring something to the table. So, for example, you may form a friendship with a suitable individual who works at another establishment also. This is on business level, and collaborate on the problem that affects both organization or friend who has relevant information that could promote your success. So if it is that you network with someone on professional level in a different organization, your organization might be having problem which they have dealt with in their own organization. You may be able to get that information to take care of your problem. Similarly, the person can also ask you of any other information that could also help with whatever things that they are dealing with. So that's mutual benefit. So finally, and that's our conclusion, networking and relationship dynamics are closely related. If you don't have a good network, you don't have a good dynamics within your network, you cannot benefit positively from it. So it lies in our hand to create the dynamics we desire by coming in prepared. So it is important to approach our relationship deliberately. Don't just walk into it. Don't think that, oh, after all, what do I have to? There are so many people in the world. True, there are so many people in the world, but this might be the one chance that you need, or the one key that can open the door you've been trying to open. So many other keys may not open it. This might be the one key. So if you treat your relationship, if you treat your encounter shabbily, you may lose that one key that could have opened the door to your treasure. So,
Awesome.
I don't know. Okay. I don't know if we have questions. Once,
I'm going to stop recording so we can go into discussion because I believe there was a question earlier on, right? So we're going to discuss it now. Yeah, excellent. So I'm going to stop recording.